So it's that time of year again, and you know what that means. I'm not really a Starbucks drinker, but every year around this time, I buy one Peppermint Mocha. Don't tell my wife. Now, I've never really been into waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning or really stuff generally, but I did go on a shopping spree this year. Domain names, just gotta check out. This is what the future of my businesses looks like. Here we go. You spent $96 and boom! I am the proud owner of 8 new domain names. I've created a couple different domain flipping videos over the last couple of months, and if you haven't gone and watched those videos yet, that's okay. You can still watch this one, but you should know before we get started that I buy domain names completely differently than other people. Google, SEO, social media, they simply don't work the way that they did 10 years ago. And so those videos that tell you how to buy and sell domain names, they're outdated by at least 5 years, but probably 10. There is still a way to make money flipping domain names, but you have to add value. You have to create content or traffic or an email list or a social media following. I went into more detail about that in my last domain flipping video. So if you want to know more about how to create value, make sure to watch that one after this one. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my latest 8 domain names, and don't skip any sections because in each and every one of them, I'm going to break down point by point exactly my strategy for buying the domain name, why it's valuable, and for creating value for my eventual buyer. Hey, my name is Christian, but you can call me Lil. And don't forget to like and subscribe because I'm going to be coming out with lots of videos about health, entrepreneurship, and lifestyle travel that you're really not going to want to miss. This is my favorite part of London, in large part because it's the only place in London where you don't have to hear London. Got trees in the background here, got a hill that way, blocks most of the noise except for the occasional airplane. But those birds, do they even know I'm recording a video? So this is the part of the video where I tell you exactly what domains I bought and why I think they're valuable, how they employ my strategies for maximum value. I would be remiss though if I didn't tell you right now that none of these would have any value without content, without a social media strategy, without SEO, without traffic, without an email list. In essence, domain name flipping, as you know it, as everybody's talked about it for all time, is dead. Buying a domain name and flipping it without adding any value to it is no longer profitable. Not now, probably never again. You might get lucky, you might win the lottery, but by and large, it doesn't work. And oh my gosh, there is a huge buck. Hold on, you see that guy over there? He's just chilling, so I'm gonna leave you alone. It's okay. I'm gonna leave you alone. Just wanted to see. It's okay. Have a good day. Wow, he's big and magnificent. The average domain flipper has a sell-through rate of 1%. That is 1 out of every single 100 domain names that they buy will sell. I'm not gonna go into much further detail about it, but just quick maths with me here. You keep a domain name on average for 5 years. It costs $12 per year. That's $60. Multiply that by 100 and it's $6,000 to keep 100 domain names. And on average, you're gonna sell one of those. For how much? The average is $400 for a premium domain name. That's the average sale. That's what it's worth. The strategies that I walk through in my other videos help you increase that sell-through rate exponentially, and it also helps you earn income on those domain names while they're just sitting there. You don't want to just be sitting on domain names that aren't doing anything. That's a losing strategy. So the first domain name that I bought as part of my Black Friday haul is HuskyHD.com. Now, this actually makes use of 2 different strategies that we employ for finding domain names. The first one is the as or like strategy, however you want to call it. If you buy a domain name that's similar enough to another trusted brand, it immediately instills trust in somebody who has seen it before. So in this case, Husky HD is very reminiscent of Video Husky, and we see it as sort of in a similar niche. If you don't know what Video Husky is, it's a pretty trusted brand name, a service where you can churn out videos very quickly and cheap. It's like outsourcing your video production. And we kind of see that as being in the same niche. This also kind of takes advantage of our alliteration rule. Husky HD. You have H and H right there in the name, and it looks kind of trusted. I know that Husky and H don't start with the same sounds, but I actually live in the UK where they pronounce it H. So it's actually pronounced HuskyHD.com. That's how a British person would pronounce it anyway. When we do eventually flip this website, we will probably try to get the buyer to sign a contract with Little Assistants to keep the Little Assistants staff on there. So we double win. We've got a website sale and we get a contract for services. That's exactly what we did with Short Daily Devotionals. If you haven't seen my last last domain flipping video, you'll see the domain name that I sold for $22,480 also came with a little assistance contract. The buyers contracted into the services for a full year. It just makes so much more sense. I mean, for us, for them, makes sense for everybody. We make more money, they make more money, everything's golden. The next one is Sephaio.com. This is actually a name that my wife and I have thought about a lot. It's what we imagined we would name our son if we had one. Instead, it just might be a clothes brand that we will sell for a lot of money. This also makes use of our like as strategy, where we're trying to create something that's like or as another brand, another trusted brand name. What did you think of when I said the word Sephaio? When we asked about a dozen people on the street, we got two very distinct answers. One, they thought it sounded a lot like Sephora. Sephora, if you don't know, is a women's makeup company. It has like sort of that like or as strategy appeal, where it brings to mind a very specific brand, something that a lot of people know. If somebody hears Sephaio and they think Sephora, we have done our job. So the trick to the like or as strategy is to create something that sounds similar enough to a brand name where people instantly feel safe, they feel secure, they feel like, yeah, this sounds right. It doesn't have to be in the same niche. So the second answer that we got for what does Sephaio sound like is a lot of people thought that it sounded like this chic, Greek, like boat shoes and capris type of brand, like male clothing that's like very chic, very blue and white, Greek inspired. And I think that leaves a certain impression on people that this is stylish, this is nice, this is what it should be. And I think that there's something really valuable about a brand where you're not putting together keywords, like it's not women's footwear, but they still kind of know what it is when they hear it. I think that this is a point that a lot of other like domain flipping gurus and videos never really go into. But put yourself in your buyer's shoes. Who are they? What do they want? You have to know that they are real people. And if we were to say, build a website, build a brand, build a social media following, build an email list, and then contact brands that are sort of in the same niche, we'd have a much bigger chance. First of all, they have income to support a sale, a big sale. There are dozens of companies just here in London that wouldn't think twice about a sale of $50,000 or $100,000 for a brand, for an email list, for a social media following of the right people who are already in their niche. I really cannot stress this enough. You will always come out on top when you are creating real value for your buyer, for the world. These cheap schemes to just buy and sell whatever garbage you find, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but by and large, it doesn't. In comes SwankyMix.com. Now, swanky of course means like fancy, but sort of in a tongue-in-cheek sort of way, and that's just kind of how we imagined this whole thing. It's like a mix that you can bring with you anywhere in the world, packs up either freeze-dried or just a mix of herbs. We're not quite sure exactly what it looks like yet. You can bring anywhere in the world. You're backpacking across the US, you are traveling to Asia, you are doing whatever you do, you can pack your food to create a little bit of consistency in your cooking. Maybe sometime in the future it could even be like entire meal replacements, like freeze-dried backpacking food, you know? Now, we have absolutely zero intention of ever building a whole company around this. We don't really like product-based businesses in general, but this is something that we believe there's a market for, and we believe somebody could do it. So what makes this a valuable domain name is not the domain. Somebody sees the domain name SwankyMix.com and they might have entirely different idea of what that looks like, but it's the brand. Our virtual assistants will build a website, they'll start writing content, they'll post on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. We'll put together content, traffic, social media presence, videos, blog articles, everything that a brand might need. Because of the way that we work, we can eventually just like dictate a vision for a website, and our virtual assistants will run it pretty much hands off. They'll create the website, they'll start creating the content, start with the YouTube videos, and what we do is we create an audience, and therein lies the value. If you can create an audience of people in a certain demographic who are actually listening to what you have to say, you will find a buyer, I guarantee it. In the case of Swanky Mix, we're kind of geared in the direction of world travelers, of global citizens, and generally people who care about their health and want easy cooking. I mean, you know, that's kind of how we imagine it. Of course, the ultimate buyer could change that direction. If they decide that that's not the direction they want to go, it really doesn't matter. That's not the point. To anybody who's been sitting on a domain, sitting on a business idea, start now, because the value, it starts now. Sorry, the older a domain name is, the more content it has, the bigger social media following it has, the bigger email list attached to it, the more valuable it is. Always. That's just a rule. Start now, be consistent, and you will eventually find success. And if you don't want to be consistent, or you can't be consistent, that's exactly where we come in. Little assistants, we have virtual assistants who can build your website, build your social media following, set up all of the infrastructure for your business, build your business from scratch, really, for as little as $6 an hour. Now, I don't mean for this to be a sales pitch or anything, I'm just putting that out there. Domain number 4, I think, Sali Salut. And for English speakers, I think I'll just pronounce it Sali Salut. It is a French expression that just means hello. What I love the most about this one is that it just like rolls right off the tongue. Sali Salut. We ran it through kind of like a focus group, and people thought that it sounded, right off the bat, they know that it's French. And so it kind of gives the impression of like being this like small little French boutique type of store. We don't exactly have like a brand story thought out like we did for these other ones, but there are so many different things that it could be. So we're probably going to try to design the website as this domain will probably not be as valuable as one where we can pinpoint a very specific audience, as we've talked about before, but it still could be revenue generating and therefore valuable. Maybe we create a blog about France, about French things, about things that we love about French culture and language and that sort of thing, and that's exactly what we're selling on the store. The next one is profoundpoint.com, and this one probably isn't quite as powerful as the first few that I mentioned either. That's why it's towards the end of this list, but it does have that PP together, profound point. It kind of like puts an emphasis on those words, and it kind of still flows off the tongue. We have the alliteration, profound point. Memorable, people can think about it, and it would probably be a good candidate for the same thing that I did with short daily devotionals, where I used AI to automate 30,000 blog articles. We could probably export a list of, let's just say, 30,000 famous quotes from famous authors. We see it as being sort of a little bit of a more serious brand, not like a cutesy patootsy French boutique, but more like kind of a little bit powerful, in your face, a little bit beautiful images. I really want to know what you guys think of this next one, plenish.com. Actually, I want to know what you think of all of them. If you've got a moment, in the comments below, tell me what you think of each one of these domain names. My wife insisted that it's like this plant-oriented like nutrition company, like you're being replenished or organically, I guess. I do like understand her vision of it, but I just think that the letter P is like powerful. Like profound point makes sense because you're like profound point. It's almost like it's this like chic, almost hippie brand, but then you're using too powerful a word. That's how I feel. Last but not least, and we are right back where we started. To finish us off, the last domain name is Millie and Willow. And the reason that I really like this one, it doesn't really follow any of our rules, but it does kind of flow off the tongue. You have Mill and Will, and at the same time kind of gives you like this thought of innocence. Millie is definitely a child's name. It's short for something. And Willow's a tree in North America, if you don't know. It's something that a lot of us associate with our childhoods. We would hang out under the willow tree. It's a very common thing. Maybe we sell things like wooden toys or something that's like child education, like old-timey kind of style to people who want to take their kids back and put them in a different generation. That sort of feeling, that's what it gives off. And so got more than just that application. There are different things that could happen, that we could do with the name. Again, the entire idea is to create an audience around a very specific topic, its entire concept, a lifestyle. And the person who eventually buys it might think of the totally different brand concept, but we're creating an audience for them around a very specific concept. And then we will find somebody who has a product that they would want to sell to that audience. That's the objective here. All right, video is over. It's time to party Twickenham style. Twickenham, for context, is a small town on the outskirts of London. Okay!